Hello everyone and welcome to the round glass review for the Brightin Star XSLIM Pro 28mm f2.8, a lens which for brevity and accuracy I will refer to as the BS 28mm. This lens arrived in 2023 and as of this video's recording at the very end of 2024, it's still available new from all of the typical sources that sell lenses from this region and of this tier. Typical lens uses for this will include street photography at this lens's hyperfocal distance because focusing this lens on the fly, it's kind of a pain. For your bottom line up front, let's just set the tone of this review early. If a camera maker includes the word Pro in their gear's name, Vegas stakes on that gear's quality are not favorable. Also, this lens apparently was intended to be released under the Funleader brand before it came out as a Brightin Star, and, insofar as brand associations go, Funleader is not one that is known for technical precision. So here is the long and short of this review. I could not wait to be done with this lens and get rid of it. There are character lenses that have flaws that give them compelling image aesthetics, yes. And then there is this, which delivers images that are on par with what I would expect I could do building a lens with spare pieces of glass from lenses I've taken apart over the years. This lens does earn huge points on cosmetic styling, and then it absolutely tanks when it comes to delivering images. Your focal length and angle of view are 28mm and 75 degrees on full frame, equivalent to 42mm with a 53-degree angle of view on APS-C, and this lens does not come close to covering GFX. The aperture range is 2.8 and 16, element and group count are 6 and 5, design type is semi-symmetrical, filter size is 25.5mm, the closest focus is 0.7 meters, which, in the US, is the average stride length of anyone walking with the urgency that arrives 47 minutes after eating your 23rd taco of the morning. The drive type is manual focus, native mount is Leica M. The dimensions are 22mm by 51mm, and there's an overall protrusion from the camera of 9.9mm because most of this lens is inside of the camera when it's mounted. It weighs 125 grams. Now, firstly, do not expect a lot from this lens. The MTF chart looks like a ski slope designed to exert enough G-forces on a skier to cause them to explode like an over-microwaved pizza pocket. Second, a macro adapter for your mirrorless camera, unless that mirrorless camera has a Leica M-mount, will be a good investment as this lens's focal point out of the box is not great. This lens is not easy to adjust quickly. The aperture ring is catastrophically bad, and it is no easier to adjust than the aperture ring on an old Leica or Industar 50mm f3.5 collapsible lens. In this lens's favor, at least the aperture ring can be moved easily and smoothly. Also, the focusing ring is not incredibly convenient to adjust. In general, this lens is most likely to be used most easily when the aperture is set to f16 and the focus is locked at the hyperfocal distance. By locked, I mean just set there and maybe if you want to keep it in place, use some masking tape. Street and travel photography, where technical precision is not required, but rapid response to scene changes is required, would be an ideal use for this lens. This lens is sold for Leica M, which means that it does fill a niche for low-price Leica M lenses. However, I would submit that most people shooting Leica M cameras can afford the lens quality that Leica provides, and that this lens, compared to those for certain, would be a letdown. Many of the reviews online for this lens show images that honestly look way better than anything I did. However, those reviews benefit from enlargement ratios. Online reviews are often showing images which, on my 36-inch monitor, are around 3 by 5 inches. That's roughly the same size as an A7 print. That's not very much enlargement from the full-frame image sensor, in that relatively low enlargement ratio masks a lot of the image's flaws. Now this video, if you watch it on a TV or monitor on full screen, and I encourage that, will show that this lens does not stand up to enlargements to letter size, which is roughly A4. This lens is fine when images are enlarged to about 300%, which is that A7-ish size. And that means that this lens performs in a manner in terms of enlargement from the full-frame sensor size that is equivalent to what would have been expected from a lens on a 1990s point-and-shoot camera, and that is not a compliment. Lastly, this lens has a large and exposed rear element. If you drop this lens, you can expect that that rear element will be damaged severely. Keep a rear lens cap on it to protect it, and be careful when you remove this lens from your camera. We'll start with the fairy lights and the lens at infinity focus. This shows very minor cat eye projection on the image peripheries and some blurring that looks like tangential astigmatism. In fact, it looks enough like that I decided to go and retake the dots test chart photos for this lens with the new and improved test chart I drew up that can show both types of astigmatism very clearly. So we'll go to that in just a moment. Going now to the closest focus points on the same lights, we see basically more of the same. I'm honestly quite surprised by how evenly this lens performs in terms of blurry areas at both close and infinity focus. For the dots test chart at closest focus, my 36-inch monitor is not large enough to fill the image sensor. So I'm going to use my Leica M to Sony E-mount macro adapter and rack out that focus a little bit so that the entire test chart can fill the entire sensor. Now there's an asterisk. This will eliminate many of the optical flaws seen on this lens's MTF chart because of the perimeter being cut off out of the image circle. And that is going to make this lens appear to perform better than it does because of that image circle elimination. Before we go to the 100% crops, let's take a look at the diagonal lines on this image. Notice how they blur in a fan-like pattern towards the far ends? That's tangential astigmatism, an astigmatism that affects the clarity of lines which rest tangential to the image area's center point. Now impressively here, the circle lines are very sharp. Those measure radial astigmatism, blur that would appear to worsen as the effect radiates away from the image center. And oh shoot, that's exactly where they got their names from and how you can remember which one is which. At 100% in the very center, we see a lot of softness with coma setting in within the micro 4/3 image area. Gross. Going around the corners, we see consistent performance from this lens, with the dots exhibiting projection angle blur that is also affected by coma, tangential astigmatism, and oblique spherical aberration beyond the APS-C image area. Wow. Breathing is exceptionally well controlled. It is a slightly noticeable thing in still images, and I cannot detect it at all in motion shifts from the closest focus point of 0.7 meters out to 1.4 meters from the front of the lens. The aperture is stepless from f2.8 to f16, but the aperture ring is placed such that adjusting the aperture during motion work is almost guaranteed to result in your knuckles being in the frame. The front element is non-rotating, but does move in and out a hair less than 1.5 millimeters, which is 5% of the lens's focal length. The focus throw is 75 degrees with a focusing ring that includes an easy-to-grip knob, but that knob must be accessed from the bottom of the camera. Focus damping is fine, and this lens holds focus and the focusing ring movement is smooth. Sharpness is not something anyone will be excited about. This lens will only render details that can be considered suitable if you don't enlarge your images much beyond the size needed to share them on your social media to people looking at them on a phone screen. Build quality is fine and nice, and the lens feels well made, though it does not like every mount adapter I tried it in. Some of them it just straight up fell out of. So you may find that this lens does not mount well in some adapters if you're shooting mirrorless. Contrast is good, though that does not translate into nice details and acutance. Somehow, it does translate into shadow clipping and highlight blowout. Aperture stars form at the focal plane at f4 and f10 points. They improve from f5.6 through 16, where they are at their best. Out-of-focus areas are nice at close focus, in keeping with the general properties of symmetrical and semi-symmetrical lens designs. At infinity, the blurry areas are not attractive because the strong astigmatism blur in the image's peripheries are quite distracting. Distortion is strong and will interfere with your real-world images. Light loss I tested on both full-frame and GFX because why not, and to help discourage any GFX users from investing in this lens because it's tiny and On paper, it seems like it could be a nice GFX format travel lens. Light loss is not too shabby, honestly. On full frame, the light loss could be a very pleasing image element. Flare and ghosting are quite strong and travel together. In fact, I don't think I ever had just one or the other in a photo. I suppose that for portraits this could be a pleasing image element if portraits with ghosting in them are your thing. Lastly, balance with cameras it's honestly great. Pancake lenses balance very well with cameras, and this lens feels nice on the front of cameras of any size because the center of gravity stays within the camera. Now, if this review was helpful to you or informative or enjoyable, check out the link to this other review that you might enjoy as well.